We're here.
We are.
We're here. And you know what's not in front of me today?
The board.
The board. Let's hear it for Brandon Bowman on
Brandon.
the board, everybody. Brandon wasn't here, but last week we had Bryant on, and
but seriously, think about this, because this studio has begun to look better and better
a little bit.
Right now, we got a professional on the board,
a true professional. Yes.
That's right. Welcome, everyone. It is February 5th. This is Collectively Crimson. I'm William Kirk.
I'm Brian Hurley.
We got some good guests.
We've got some really fun guests tonight.
We are. But we got some important announcements to make first. You want to do that?
Let's dive in. Yeah.
Okay. First of all, let's remind everyone that our good friends over at Pullman Vintage Market, part of the proceeds from what you purchase over there will go directly back to the Cougar Collective. So check out our good friends at Pullman Vintage Market.
And I don't know if you've ever worn like a cool vintage Coug thing around a game day or anything like that. Coach Moore was in town at Marco Polo this week, and I brought my wife's dead uncle's old jacket.
I saw that
I
jacket
got
you were
more
wearing.
compliments on that jacket.
It was pretty, yeah.
And you know what?
You wore it well, though.
Thank you.
Yeah.
He wore it better. But
I'll agree.
But
yeah.
What I will say is, like, if you need that kind of look and that kind of compliment as you're walking around, go to Pullman Vintage Market next time you're in town for a game.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
It was
I
really
didn't get
cool
it from them, but that's the kind of swag that they've got.
Yeah, well, exactly. And actually, my kid is kind of a model for him. He usually has some of their swag on when he's down on the sideline working for a Coug fan. So,
you know, he can pull it off, and it's
he can
weird
totally pull it off.
A genetic, a genetic result of you is a model. Look at that. That makes you a model.
Yeah. Well, no, but what it does mean is he's very vintage, I guess.
Okay,
right?
Yeah.
That's what it means. Kind of an old soul, right? Okay. But by the way, I literally, we put him to work tonight too, because last time we had this question, like, when was the last time we had a starting quarterback wearing 12? And you and I were like, we couldn't think of the answer, right?
Yeah.
And so I told him, he texted us the answer. I said, Phil, you're on call tonight. So if we end up in one of those conundrums again and you see me looking at the phone,
that's what's going on.
Yeah, because I got Sports Center over there doing the research for us.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's fun. So, okay, here's speaking of your son.
Yeah.
Because during the coaching search,
yes,
he was one of the reporters on the ground.
He actually is the one that first mentioned the name Kirby Moore.
He did.
And he had tracked a plane.
Okay, I have a funny story about that.
Okay, let's hear this.
So he and Greg Woods were camped out at that dang, airport all week, right?
They were.
And I was mortified when I saw that we were picking up our new coach in like a Subaru or an Isuzu. Did you notice that too? We had a little moment. I was calling Brad Brotherton, like, can we get some Cadillacs over here? Like,
big old Escalade, man.
Yeah, get him an Escalade or something. We just weren't prepared for that. Well, I was talking to Coach Moore this week. Guess what? He wasn't in either of those cars or on that plane.
Is that right?
He took his interview in Seattle.
He did his interview in Seattle?
Yes. So while all of us goofballs were on Twitter breaking all the news and stuff like that,
William got lucky because he got the name right. Got lucky.
Lucky's better than good.
Here's the funny thing. I'll tell you a funny story is that there was all kinds of people blowing him up on X when he had first posted that, saying, no way, no, it's not. It was all these people from Missouri saying, no, he ain't going anywhere. And of course, they were having bowl practice. And I was like, how many of them tweeted you a photo of Coach Moore at practice today?
Yeah.
And none of them did. None of them did. Because you want to know why he wasn't in Missouri. Clearly, he wasn't in Pullman either.
He was in Seattle with the meetings. They did some trickery on that.
Well, think about it. If you wanted to do something quietly like that, slipping them into SeaTac airport's a lot easier than slipping them through Pullman.
He actually drove to 2 airports away to fly to Seattle because the scrutiny, I mean, you know how it is on Twitter when you're doing a coaching search. Everybody's tracking these flights. So so I'm no longer mortified because we didn't pick up the coach in that car. That was just some poor guy who his wife picked him up, and I'm commenting on who picks up the coach in that airport in that car.
It's a guy that works in an at the engineering department. And it was his wife just picking him up, man. Why you gotta be so judgmental about a professor's car,
for work, man? Yeah.
I mean, okay, listen, I have to put in another plug, and it would be we're gonna do it right now. But we got to talk about Coug's First Business Network. Now, we are Cougar Collective. We are Collectively Crimson. So we are all things Cougar Collective. However, Coug's First Business Network, which is a fantastic program, has a new leader in place. You know who that is, Brian Hurley?
I know, but do you want to announce it?
Why don't you tell everyone?
It's Kelsey Knutson.
It is Kelsey Knutson. And that is, well, let's just say that Cougs First Business Network has made a lot of wise personnel decisions.
Well, I'd like to point out Kelsey was on Cougar Collective board for a long time
until
too,
she
and
moved on to greener pastures with Cougs First, which
Cougs
she's going to do a
First.
wonderful job. But this is exciting for you and I too, because on May 29th, we are going to have the Cougs First Seattle event. And apparently we have been talked into doing a live cast from that event.
Oh, we will be live streaming from the show.
Yeah. And we'll have Miss Knutson join us.
Yes.
She can tell us about all the cool things going on with Cougs First. And we're going to link up Cougs First in the description box because, listen, if you are running a business, you own a business, you're working for a business, and whatever it may be, you got to be part of the Cougs First Business Network.
I just want to say this. As a business owner, I am a member, a very enthusiastic member of Cougs First. Brandon can vouch, I've been a member of every friggin' industry trade organization and chamber of commerce, and this is Coug owned and run businesses.
Yeah, if you're part of that network, just so people understand, you can literally end up doing all the business. You want a Cougar to be your doctor, you want a Cougar to be your dentist, you want a Cougar to do your taxes, you need a new roof, you need a Coug to do that, you need an electrician, whatever it is, you could literally surround yourself with nothing but Cougs, and that's not a bad way to live your life.
And it's also, but it's not, I'll say, like, it wasn't the reason I got involved, but I've gotten lots of great clients off of that. Lots of great clients, because it's like, look, I think we talk about Jack Thompson quite a bit around here, right? And I think one of the things that he exemplifies in our community is if you show up and feed your community, and just support your community supports you. And we started showing up because we just dug Coug stuff, but we've had some of our favorite clients that we've met at Cougs First and started working with them because of that. So it actually will make you money, which is wild. This doesn't make me any money.
No, it
this
doesn't.
Costs a lot of money.
But for you that has to do media all week, which is just the grind, and then I spend a bunch of time.
You do a lot of media too,
also,
yeah.
And so I will tell you the one good thing about this is when I'm about to go do my work in front of a camera, it's like, oh God, I gotta get in front of the camera and do this, right? Right? You know what I'm talking about. And yet when I'm driving out here to do this is. I'm having a lot of fun. It's a fun time.
It's a fun time
because we're couging it up. You want to talk about you have any other announcements we need to make other than everyone needs to go to the Old Crimson store, oldcrimson.com. If you're not a member of the 1890 Club yet, come on. What are you doing? Link down below. Get with that.
Yeah.
Right?
I didn't put a link down below. Go to look at that disdain on your face.
All right, man. There's just certain expectations around here.
All right, it looks like Greg Witter.
You want to bring on our first? I get the pleasure of introducing our first guest, don't I?
You do get that pleasure, yes, I do. He's one of my favorite people in Cougland to talk to.
He's one of the most important Cougs we got. Bring him on. Listen, this guy is a class of 1984 graduate, of course, from the fine Murrow School of Communications. Speaking of which, on January 28th, the Murrow College announced that one of the inductees into the 2026 Hall of Achievement is our next guest.
That's a big deal.
Yeah. Listen, he's worked in newspapers. He's worked in politics. He worked for Alaska Airlines.
He did crisis management.
Fascinating with Alaska Airlines, and I think they had a plane go down during that time, so it might have been a big deal. He started Coug Fan in 1998, and I believe started it with his brother. So if we'll correct the record on that. I'm a big fan of one of his employees, a kid that's working down on the sideline there. Jamie Vinnick's already been on there.
You're talking about, right?
Jamie Vinnick, exactly. But welcome to the show, Greg Witter. Greg, thank you so much for being here.
Bill, thanks for the great introduction. Can you guys hear me okay? I'm trying these new earpods.
So the audience can hear you just fine. I'm going to just give hey, Brandon, if you can hop into system settings and just jack the volume of the computer all the way up. Greg, we can hear you a little bit. It's not anything on your end. It's our.
We're just gonna need you to scream really loud on your end.
No, Greg. The audience can hear him just fine. It's you and I.
Yeah, so don't do that, Dad.
So, Greg, we can hear you okay. Why don't you say something there?
Okay. Well, Bill, thanks for the great introduction. But I want to backtrack. Brian, who's your favorite client in the last year? That's what I want to ask you.
My favorite client from this year or last year, Greg?
I'll say December of 2025.
Oh, that was last year. Oh, it's got to be the folks at Coug fan.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
answer.
Good clients.
Yes.
Fun to work with.
They came to me and they said, "Hey, we want to do something for the bowl game." And then I always like it when we give a half-baked idea to somebody and they let us run with it. So thank you, sir. That was a lot of fun.
Great. And we've gotten great mileage out of it because, of course, we leveraged it on social media and we continue to put it on Coug Fan. And it was great work by your team. But, that's the great thing about when you're working with creative people. Don't get in their way. Just let them run. And that's what you guys did. It was terrific.
Well, thank you very much. It was a lot of fun. So it was pretty cool. He sent over all the pictures that they have on, and they've got beautiful photography on file. And then we actually went to Coug Fan and solicited, messages from their members to the players, and it was really fun.
That's awesome. They also have one of the best billboard locations anywhere in the state of Washington.
Where is their billboard,
Greg? Where is that fine billboard that you have?
Brian, I can't believe you have to ask that. We've been doing it for 5 straight years. That's a funny story behind that. So it's not like Coug Fan makes a ton of money. We're a break-even operation. But I wanted to raise our visibility. And so I searched for the cheapest billboard basically in the entire state of Washington I could find that would have a reasonable amount of traffic that ideally was headed the direction of Pullman or Spokane. And I found it just as you enter Othello. If you're coming to Othello from the west side of the state.
Oh, I know exactly where it is.
As you're coming in, it's on your left. Yeah.
It's the Coug Fan barn.
It's the prime location. No, but think about it. You want to talk about targeted marketing. Here's a man that understands communications right there.
And Brian. That's the cheapest billboard in the state of Washington?
I'm telling you, I spent half of one summer scouring every billboard location in this state. If I had to take it to Port Angeles, I was going to do it just so we could use it for the social media value.
But how awesome is it that you got it on Highway 26? Because you couldn't ask for a better location.
It's literally the best location on the planet. And it's very affordable. It's so affordable, in fact, that after we discovered it, somebody tried to come in behind us and steal it.
Who was that? Don't give them free PR. Don't give them. Don't give them free advertising.
They shall remain nameless.
I can't mention names, but we do have it locked up for every August and September for the next 5 years.
Beautiful, fantastic, Good work.
So now you know.
Hey, what on God's green earth got you decided to do Coug Fan? How did that all come to be?
Well, I'll give you a little bit of a backstory. So I grew up in a very tight family in Spokane. When I say family, I'm talking not just my brother and sister, mom and dad. 4 grandparents and 14 cousins all lived within minutes of a bike ride or a car drive.
Nice.
Yeah. And pretty much everybody to a T was a Wazoo advocate. I'll put it that way. So anyhow, my cousin John, we're the same age. We went to high school and college together at Wazoo. And in 1989, we both found ourselves living in Seattle. And every time we got together, which was a lot, we would always complain about the lack of Cougar coverage in a market that has 50, 60, 70,000 graduates living here.
Yeah, but the Seattle Times has never been that good to us, have they?
Well, there've been a couple windows where they were pretty solid with Craig Smith and Stephanie Lowe, but other than that, it's been pretty spotty. Yeah. And not just them, but back in the day, the Seattle PI. And,
the PI, right.
Of course, the TV stations and so forth. So anyway, long story short, when this thing called the internet was invented, we suddenly got this crazy idea that rather than beg and plead for Seattle media to cover the Cougs, why don't we start covering the Cougs ourselves? So it purely started as a hobby after the kids went to bed at night. We all had our own careers and young kids at home and so forth, but it started very humbly, and one thing led to another, and then juggernaut on our hands. Can you guys hear that phone ringing?
We're good.
You're good? Okay. And one thing led to another, and then with the internet bubble that was starting to mushroom, we had some money to Barry Bolton as our full-time managing editor, and then started hiring beat writers. And right now, of course, we've got Jamie Vinnick. He has been doing a great job for us for, she's probably 3 or 4 years now. So that's the story behind Coug Fan. And my dog approves this message, I think.
The dog is a fan of Coug Fan too.
Yeah, well, we are.
You need to quiet down, buddy.
So 1998, is that when Coug Fan launched?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So take us through a little bit of a journey of what college athletics looked like in 1998 versus how it looks in 2026. Think about it. No, because I want you to think about that, because because that's less than 30 years. Think
Well,
about
you know,
that, guys. That's less than 30 years.
So let me throw this back at you, Bill and Brian. If someone said to you in 1998, gentlemen, I envision a day where there will be unfettered free agency for every athlete on every team every single year, and they can go to the highest bidder, not in terms of the best dorms or the best facilities or the best scholarship and stipend, but the best salary. You would have thought you're out of your mind. And yet here we are.
Well, and remember at that point too, I mean, remember the dream team was controversial going to the Olympics because those were pro basketball players when that started.
Right.
And that was around that time. I can't remember which year that was, but like that was like this mind-blowing thing of like you can't have Dan and Dave on the Pepsi commercials because now they're professionals, you know? Like it was
forgot about that.
Yeah, but it was a big
but you
deal.
know, that's a great question that Greg asks, because if we could go back in our time machine and he asked that question, what would have been like, well, there would be no such thing as college athletics if that's what it becomes. You would literally think it would be, and yet it's proven to be not that. Not saying it's still what we want it to be, or maybe it was better in the old way, but college athletics is still alive and it's adjusting, and I think that's been the most fascinating thing.
It's different for sure. I've got opinions. I know you've got opinions. Greg, this might sound like a woo-woo question, but like when you think about the spirit of college athletics and kind of that magic of college athletics, and be honest, do you think it's still there? And if so, what's still there and what's not?
Well, if you step back and look at it on paper, it's easy to say the magic has been lost, or at least a big portion of the magic has been lost. But I will tell you, sitting in the stands at the Toledo game with my brother, we had an absolute blast. Watching the Potato Bowl was a thrill. So all of that is still there. And even though the how we get here is completely different, I still think there's a lot of magic there to be had. Now, if the magic is to continue the way we would ideally like it to continue, the simple fact of the matter is Cougar Nation, 250,000 of us, need to do a better job of supporting WSU with donations, NIL, revenue sharing, paying for the scholarships at the CAF. Those are kind of the big three. So I don't think it's been lost. And, as much as I don't pay any attention to the other former Pac-12 teams anymore, other than I live in Seattle, so I inadvertently pay attention to the Huskies.
He lives right in the shadow of the big ugly purple swamp castle.
You can see it from my attic window, actually.
I don't know. I don't know how you can do it. I just literally don't know how you can do it. But that would be like living in West Germany looking at the Iron Curtain. I mean, it would just be like, my God, how do you survive that?
Well, I view the Montlake Bridge as Checkpoint Charlie for me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But you were going to say something before I interrupted you there, Greg.
So if you ask me, how did the former Pac-12 teams do, other than Oregon and Washington, I can't tell you anything. I have no idea how Utah, Arizona, I have no clue. I've completely disassociated from them. I don't care about them at all anymore. I watch only the Cougs. However, I will say I watched the semifinals and the championship game of this college football playoff, and I must say I enjoyed those games very much. So college football is alive and well, college sports generally.
Don't you think that Indiana story kind of is a real injection of good mojo back into college football?
Well, it's one of the greatest sports stories of, seriously, I don't know how far back you want to go. The last 100 years, it's an amazing story.
It's an amazing story, but it's because, do we really want to see every title game be Ohio State versus Alabama? I don't.
That's what it would amount to otherwise. Well, whoever's got the deepest pockets, Ohio State and who's the next one? Texas.
It's Texas Tech this year, yeah.
Over time,
Texas Tech and their oil money.
Here's what I'd say too is like the people who love to sit on the sidelines and go, oh, the magic is gone or it sucks, it's not the same anymore. Those are, if you were to ask every single one of those people, I bet you they have not been to a college football game during this era. Like it's a lot of the people who like to sit on TV and are kind of passive fans with it, because you still get that magic of going to the tailgates and seeing your friends.
Well, that's the thing. That's where the magic
with
that's
the players,
the thing.
all
the
that
magic
stuff
doesn't come from just what's on the field.
Yeah.
The magic comes from all of us being together with a common purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing I think, and Greg, he's got a little more seniority than both of us, right? And so he understands this, is that these coaches, these players, they come and go, and we support them when they're here. But the one thing that's constant is all of us.
Mm-hmm.
All of us. How many different coaches have you sat in Martin Stadium for? Right? How many have you done?
Right.
And did your support ever waver? And what was the thing that you're always going to remember when you're looking back on that? You'll remember a little bit about the games. You'll remember a little bit about the coaches and the characters of the team, but you will always remember who you were hanging out with and who those people were at that point in your life, right?
That's exactly right. In fact, it's funny. I had a conversation with Kirk Schultz shortly after he was named president, and you guys may remember the Robert Barber fiasco.
Yeah, complete fiasco.
That? Yeah, we won't go into the details on that, but Kirk was just following what he was new to the job. He was kind of following what his lieutenants were suggesting and doing, whereas Jack Thompson and others were advocating for Robert, one credit shy of graduating, to become the first person in his family to graduate over a very suspect situation that happened over the previous summer. We won't go into all the details. Bottom line was, I talked to Kirk and I said, Kirk, if you're on the opposite side of an issue from Jack Thompson and Cougar Nation, you are on the losing side of the issue. And I said, here's the thing you have to understand. You're the president. If you look at the numbers, it means you're going to be here for about 6 years. That's the average tenure of a college president in the United States. You're going to be here 6 years. Jack Thompson, me, my brother, my cousin, and all my other friends who are Coug fans, we're working on 3, 4, 5, 6 decades here. We never go away.
We ain't going anywhere, right?
Yeah. So to us, you're a hired gun. We are the foundation of the university. So when a guy like Jack Thompson is telling you you're on the wrong side of an issue, you've got to listen to him. Listen to him more than your own lieutenants. And he was actually great. He was very open to the conversation. And long story short, Robert Barber got reinstated, graduated, and good story.
It had a happy ending. And, you bring up a good thing, because one of the ways that we're going to continue to have future generations of people that are going to go to fight for WSU at all times is we not only get it from our normal, students, but we also need to have that from our student athletes. And one of the things you got to do is you've got to maintain relationships with student athletes. You want them to be on campus for 2-3 years. Greg, you remember back in the day, you'd watch a kid come on as a redshirt freshman, a skinny little kid, and watch him grow up on campus, grow up not only as a player, but as a man and all of that. And we really we're losing that experience. And that's one of the important things about NIL is it allows you to retain players. So you can see these kids grow up, and they grow up being a Coug. And then 20 years later, they're coming back on campus with their kids with them. And that's how we continue this cycle.
I'll say there's the only heartbreak. I've had 2 heartbreaks in the transfer portal. John Mateer broke my damn heart, but also Kalani last year when he followed Dickert to Wake Forest. And what killed me about that one is that kid grew up as a Coug.
Yeah.
Right. We've got a great picture of him somewhere of like him on the 50-yard line with his cousins on the Cougar head on the 50-yard line. So he grew up to follow the dream to become a Coug. And look, at this point last year, there wasn't enough NIL money to compete with what Dickert was offering him. Now, I'm going to give him, I think it's really easy to pick on these kids for leaving, right? I think it's really easy for fans to do that, but he had 5 different offensive coordinators, like so many different coaches. He got thrown.
How many different teammates?
He had 4. He had Leach, he had Rolovich, he had Dickert, and now he was going for. Then there was going to be another one. So like you look at a kid like that, and it was just like, it made the most sense for his life to go that way. Now I don't know if we're supposed to be sharing this, but that kid's an 1890 club member. Halfway through the season, all of a sudden Tim's phone rang with an 1890 club membership. So I'm really curious about kids like that. Like there's 2 different thoughts here. One is, what do we think for a kid like that now that he's entering the real world? Is he going to be one of those Cougs that's hanging out at the tailgate with us as the vets, or do they lose that status when they go away and there's no gray area there? That's my first question.
Well, all right. I want to hear Greg's
answer. I want to hear Greg's answer on that one.
It's funny. Jim Moore periodically writes columns for Coug Fan, and we put that very question to Jim and said, Jim, write a column on this, explore this. And some of the examples we gave him were Jarrett Kingston. You guys probably remember Jarrett. So he'd been at Washington State 4 years. He was a 2-year starter. And then he spent his last year at USC. He proposed to his future wife in the middle of Martin Stadium before the last home game. That's a pretty Coug guy right there. And yet he spends his last year at USC. So is he considered a Coug, a partial Coug, a Coug with a check mark next to his name? I'm with you, Brian. Kalani, God, that broke my heart. He's a local guy. He was a walk-on, fought his way.
His family was at every game with their jerseys in mass, right?
Yeah.
It was fun to
and
see.
Also just a super delightful young man if you've ever chatted with him. That one hurt. So I guess the question is, well, look at basketball. Charlize Ledger-Walker, the greatest basketball player in Washington State history, 4 years, Pac-12 championship. Well, she's our greatest player. She won a title. You would think her banner should be hung in Beasley. Well, maybe it shouldn't be hung in Beasley because the last 2 years are at UCLA. So I think we just need to come to grips with we're in a different era. And somebody I was talking to, somebody notable, and I'm forgetting, it's a big name in Cougar Nation, said to me, it depends on what their actions are after they're done playing college ball. Do they associate with the Cougs? Do they want to be part of the Cougs?
Yeah.
It sounds like Devin definitely wants to be a Coug for life. So I think that is really the dividing line. Do they want to be? Is this our school? Is this their school to them?
Well, here's what I would say on that is, and it's a perfect segue because I think it really does. They get to carve their own path.
Yeah.
Right. But if they feel most emotionally and personally connected when their playing days are over to Washington State University, and they choose to make that their alma mater that they hang out with, isn't there always room on our bandwagon?
I mean,
come on, guys. Isn't there? I mean, we are a welcoming bunch. Right? If you want to be a Coug, you are welcome to be a Coug with us. Right?
I was pretty impressed with how quickly some people turned on their heels the second Cam Ward was the number 1 draft pick. From he left us to like, oh, he's a Coug. That's a Coug. He's a Coug, right? So It is funny. I'll just finish that up with saying, I think we've got an obligation as fans. We talk about the magic still being here is this community tribalism that we have. Well, we've got an obligation as fans and community members to, one, give a stable platform to coaches so that it doesn't have to be this for my career, I have to leave. We can, that's a whole different conversation, but I can make the case for both Dickert and Rogers about if I'm in their shoes, what am I thinking? Do I feel supported and things like that? And because if you give a stable coaching staff, I think you're going to give a much more stable environment for these kids to hang out. And that's also when you're going to see these mass exoduses is when the coaches leave and bounce.
Yeah.
Now we had a chance to talk to Coach Moore, and he was talking about how the smartest thing, they've done a lot of smart things since they've jumped on, but I think, they got into town. They immediately went to that bowl game in Boise State to meet those families and meet the players and all that kind of stuff, to at least be a face to the families too.
Right.
So I think I just want to finish that, put a bow on that with, we've got an obligation as fans. Let's pony up to make it so it's not such this difficult decision for anybody. Nobody actually wants to leave. They just don't want to have to do the math and feel like a fool for passing up money.
Exactly.
So
I think they're always welcome. All right. Last question for you, Greg. This will be an easy one, but you'll have to do a little thinking. In your almost 30 years of covering Cougar athletics, who is the biggest character of anybody you ever had to cover, and why?
Well, it's nice to say there's no shortage of nominations.
I knew that.
Yeah. So now, mind you, CougFan.com started in 1998, but when I was a student, I was a stringer for the Seattle Times. I was the sports editor for the now defunct Pullman Herald. Worked for the Palouse Daily News. So I covered the Cougs in that 4-year window as well. So I'm going to count that 4 years.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah. So that by covering that window, I also get Jim Walden in the conversation.
Yeah.
In fact, if you guys are okay on time, I'll tell you a funny story. So
yeah,
that was we wanted to hear a funny story, because for those of you who, if you ever run into Greg at a Coug function, go up and ask him to tell you a story, because this guy has got a ton of good stories. Let's hear it.
Well, I first time I ever interviewed Coach Walden, so I made an appointment with the football administrative assistant and come in after practice on whatever day. Anyhow, I got all my questions and I go in, and it was pouring rain, and Jim walks in and he's got rain gear on. He's soaking wet. And he walks in, and to this day, when I talk to Jim, the first words out of his mouth are, "Hey, boy." And so he walks in and he sees this young-faced kid there with a pen and a paper. Hey, boy, what can I do for you? And he takes all his rain gear off and goes and sits behind his table. And every office in the Cougar complex, well, Bowler Gym, had wood paneling back in those days. Nothing but glass, wood paneling. And anyway, so I asked him my first question. And I'm writing feverishly. I'm starting to get cramps in my fingers because 27 minutes later, I had a breath to ask a second question.
So I feel with Bill most days.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Anyway, Jim was I think the fact that he's just an absolute character. But growing up in the South, he used to go watch Elvis before anyone knew who Elvis was. He would go watch Elvis in these honky tonks all over that part of Mississippi. And he just had a lot of interesting stories. Yeah, he was on the coaching staff of that amazing Nebraska team of 1971. And he had Bob Devaney stories. And he just had funny expressions. And, one of them, my good friend Dan Lynch always says, Walden would say to players who were getting some notoriety and climbing up in terms of their profile, that the higher you climb the flagpole, the more of your ass is exposed to get shot at. And he just had one line after another like that. So anyway, I interviewed Jim off and on for those 4 years, and probably just because I was a young, impressionable guy, and so he was just a character unlike any other. I would probably put Jim as the most colorful, colloquial, interesting. You never quite knew what he might say.
That's a really good answer.
That's
having said that, look, of course, let's go through the list. You got, in terms of characters, you got Mike Price, you got Mike Leach, obviously, big time characters. And then you also got just fun guys to talk with in between there. You got Bill Doba. Did you just say football, or was basketball part of this?
Oh, well.
Yeah. And first time I interviewed George Raveling, I've never been so intimidated in my entire life. I walk into his office. Yeah, he had he had a bookshelf full of big, thick books. I knew he was a big reader, but he had 15, 20 newspapers from across the country spread out over his floor next to his desk. And I said to him, Coach, how do you read all these papers? Do you actually read all these papers? Everyone cover to cover. He was another really interesting guy. He was a good quote, but he was also a very serious man. And when you interviewed George, you better not come in lollygagging. You better come in with good questions and know exactly what you're trying to get at. He was a fascinating guy to talk with. I liked him a lot.
Well, Greg, I can't thank you enough for joining us, and I certainly can't thank you on behalf of everyone in the Coug Nation. I can't thank you enough for what you and everyone over at CougFan.com does, the amazing job that you do keeping us informed. It is kind of our go-to source. And let me remind everyone again, he is going to be inducted into the Merle College Hall of Achievement. Very well deserved, Greg. Congratulations, brother. That's awesome.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate that. Yeah, humbling. I'm so honored. I can't even tell you. I almost fell out of my chair when Bruce Pinkleton, the dean, informed me.
You deserve it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Hey, thanks so much. Go Cougs.
Go Cougs.
All right, guys. We'll see you. Go Cougs.
Dude.
I can talk every time I can talk to that guy, and I'm always, it's always at a Coug event, so there's always way more cool people for him to talk to. But if you can corner him, he's got the best stories.
He needs to sit down and put them all.
Yes,
and that would be a book of just legendary short stories about various people going back generation. And this stuff does need to be recorded somewhere, otherwise they disappear over time. And that's part of the legacy, the history, the culture of being a Coug, that uniqueness that comes with being a Coug.
Well, and it's great content too. I mean, people love following that stuff. It's the talk to the guy who was in the room story. I think we got to just kidnap him and Jack and just lock him in here for a week and just press record.
Who's another good one to talk to is a guy named Bud Withers.
Yes. Have you read his book?
Yeah, I'm in it.
You're in it?
Yeah. Too good to be good to be
too
through.
Good to be through. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in there.
Which page?
It's the part about the alumni. It's me and an attorney buddy of mine who's a UW grad, and we're talking. And here's the funny thing: that interview was done about 4 years ago, and I'm sitting there during the interview going, you know what? What scares me the most is I think his school is going to bail on this conference and they're gonna screw it all up for everybody. And I'm literally now he's my buddy, but we're trial lawyers, so we could do that crap, right? We know how to play the game, right? And he's like, no, we would never leave the Pac-12. Well, I rest my case.
I bought a copy for my dad.
It's a good book
for Christmas, and he's a Husky. My dad's a Husky.
Oh, is he?
And I think he reads it when he's on the toilet because
whatever.
The same time every day I get a text going, look at this quote here.
Well,
so Dad's not watching because this isn't his team, but it's a great book. It's a great pick up and read book.
And real quick, if you guys are not subscribers of CougFan.com, do it. I mean, seriously, it is absolutely the go-to source for everything WSU athletics related, everything.
And the message boards that you get, that's where I have
fun.
a lot of fun.
They're
too.
fun.
It's because you can just get on a debate train with some people.
Yeah, and solve all the world's problems.
Yeah.
Theoretically.
All right. Well, talk about characters on the Coug team. I'm really excited for our next guest.
Tell us about it.
Well, so he'll actually have some interesting perspective of the whole transfer portal thing because
Very interesting.
He's been in it a couple times.
Yep. He's prevented others from going into it.
He's prevented others from going in. He's been talked out of it by Jack.
Yeah.
Again, like 20th mention of Jack. If that'd be a good drinking game for this show, because every time we mention Jack, you got to drink. But also every time I've talked to this guy, he always had a video game on in the background or something like that. So let's see if is he on his Xbox today? Mr. Keith Brown, are you with us?
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Are you on the Xbox right now? Honest?
I do currently have my.
Yeah. One thing we like around here, Keith, is consistency, and this program struggles with it mightily. So we are appreciative of you being so consistent.
Yeah, I'm consistently playing video games. I can tell you that.
Well, Keith, I know we were all stoked to see you return to the team this year with all the change that was going on, and you've been through some change. So let's just start there. Walk me through Aaron Rodgers' announcement and kind of your thought process and anybody who you were talking to along the way there.
Yeah, kind of when you go back and you get that like dreaded text of mandatory team meeting at whatever time it was at. As someone who's had a new head coach almost every year now in college, I knew exactly what that text was. And then we get to the team room and all the freshmen and stuff are in there and they're like, yo, like, what's going on? What's going on? I'm like, well, here's the case, fellas. Our coach is gone. They're like, no, like that's not the case. That would never happen. I'm like, no, I've been in this. I was like, give it like 2-3 minutes and you'll see the athletic director walk in. And that's how you know it's real. They're like, no, we'll see. And then sure enough, a couple minutes later, John Harlow walks in and I'm like, well, there's your answer, fellas.
Like clockwork.
Yeah, this isn't an ice cream party. Yeah.
Yeah. But my reaction kind of to that was, I mean, I talked to Rodgers after the fact and like it was one of those things that it wasn't like, at least for him, it wasn't something he was planning the entire year or midway through the season was taking phone calls and thinking like, yeah, I'm leaving for sure. Like other coaches have before. It was truly something that happened like boom, boom, like last second. So I'm not like upset with him for, leaving and doing whatever he had to do, but it was kind of like, well, here we go again, one of those kind of reactions, which I'm kind of tired of dealing with necessarily. So, yeah.
So was your initial reaction to just get in the portal and go somewhere else and try new again, or what was your initial?
Like not at first. Like at first, I was like, let me go to the bowl game and just enjoy my time with my friends. I'm not even going to worry about it. And then after the bowl game, there was a few places, a few coaching hires that happened around college football that I had a lot of connections to. It made me think about potentially like reuniting with some of those guys. But again, at the same time, I was like, look, Washington State's going to be my longest stint at a school in college, and I really want to finish what I've started somewhere. So that's why I did give Coach Moore and Coach Bray and Jack Thompson a chance to sit down and really speak to me. And it really wasn't that hard for me to make a decision after just hearing them out.
That's really cool to hear. And because walk us through, this is you started at Oregon, no?
Yeah, Oregon and Louisville, right?
Yeah, I spent 2 years and half of spring at Oregon, and then I spent a season at Louisville, and then going on my third year here now.
Did any of your experiences with those moves like maybe slow things down or educate your decision to stick around?
Yeah, definitely. When leaving Oregon, going to Louisville, I was young and kind of immature, and it was my head wasn't really in the right space of like why I wanted to go to a new school. And when I thought about leaving this time, I knew kind of just what I was looking for. I wasn't like chasing some number or anything like that. It was more just like, let me just go somewhere with some like familiar faces and stuff like that. Because when you get a whole new staff, a whole new roster comes with that, and it's just kind of hard sometimes to meet all those new people again. It's almost easier if you go somewhere and meet.
Well, I think that's a really interesting point. And I think fans forget about that sometimes, which is like when you've got a new head coach coming in with his staff, it can put your position and where, you see yourself on the team in jeopardy. Right. And I think most fans don't think about that when they see kids.
Well, not only that, but then your entire position group can change on you. So the dudes that are in the meetings with you all the time, the dudes that you're practicing with all the time are changing every year. And sometimes you may have a good group and sometimes the group may not be as your kind of people. I don't know.
Yeah,
Keith?
It's a crazy time. And like the thing too with like Coach Moore and Coach Bray coming in, thankfully I've known Coach Bray my entire recruiting process. He's the first coach to ever offer me a scholarship out of high school ever. So that was kind of cool to see him again. But when a new coach comes in, especially in my position of not playing at all last season, like you're like, okay, well, are they even gonna like want me? I'm gonna be a 60-year guy. I'm not like your 19-year-old kid running around out there anymore. Like, are they gonna want me here? But they made it very, very clear that they want me part of the team and they want me here going forward. So that was just refreshing to hear that. But yeah, definitely the player aspect is the craziest thing, because especially when you get in your like third, fourth, and fifth year. Like now, what feels like every 6 months, you have 20 new kids coming in, and then when you add in the portal and transfers and the ability to cut players, now you have it goes from 20 to like 30 or 40, sometimes even 50 new guys, and your whole position group can go away, or new guys come in, new coaches. And it takes a long time to learn all those names too.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
You don't even think about that.
Well, just let me lighten it up a little bit. Keith, thank you for your candid answers on that. Cause I think that's something that, it's really easy for keyboard warriors to get online and start typing out their knee-jerk reactions every time they see a human being making a decision for their own career. Yeah. And I think it's really important to keep that in mind when we talk about giving stability, both from coaches and then giving stability from an NIL perspective, where you just take the hard decision off the table so they don't have to make it. I want to pivot a little bit. Do you know, here's just some fun questions. What other player in NCAA history has gone to more Holiday Bowls than you?
Oh, I don't think anybody. I don't think anybody. I played in 3 in a row, and by the third time, like it's so the Holiday Bowl is great, right? Like they have a really cool thing where you go tour this huge Navy ship, and then on Christmas Day you go to SeaWorld and you're there. The Navy ship takes about 2 or 3 hours.
You got this routine down just as well as when the coach bails, because you literally have it scripted out.
Yeah, right? No, I could literally give the Holiday Bowl tour myself. But you go on this giant you go on this giant Navy ship though, and it's really cool the first time, and then it's like it's like still kind of cool the second time, but then the third time you're like, dude, I don't want to stand on a ship for 3 hours and talk about like the fire hose that puts out fires, or like walk up like into like the like the tower. It's it's cool the first time.
See, that is the unknown victim of the whole transfer portal, is these poor kids having to go to the same damn bowl game.
Could be worse though,
because
if it would have been 3 Sun Bowls in a row, you would have been like, dude, that is the worst damn experience ever.
Yeah, if I was in somewhere cold, if I was in like Detroit or like Michigan, that'd be one thing. But I'm in San Diego, 73 degrees.
Yeah. You can't complain about that around Christmas time, can you?
I'm not upset with that, no. But
in winter,
it does get boring.
Here's a question you absolutely should not answer, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Who are you glad is gone?
Yeah. You can just give initials if you really don't want to name a name, and we'll grab last year's roster.
Wink out initials in Morse code or something like that. Who just thank God. God, I don't have to wake up and see them every day, huh?
Well, I mean, you can just say, as being an older guy, you don't necessarily love sitting through special team meetings all the time. And and sometimes there's a certain way to do those to make them fun and engaging. And there's a certain way to not do them. And as an older guy, sometimes it's a little boring.
All right, you got to text your son. Go, who's he talking about?
No, the funny thing, no. I'm not going to mention, but I've gotten some inside scoop about the former special teams coach. Also, it was a little. All
right,
yeah.
Moving on. Who are you most glad stuck around? Like,
that's a good one.
Who are you most stoked? When you're like, yes, okay, that guy's sticking around.
Yeah, I love seeing Julian Duggar here. He's just like a wild, crazy young kid who's the most athletic guy on the team at all times, and I'm happy to see him every day. Jalen Caldwell is someone who kind of, honestly, all the guys who got hurt last year and stayed, and then came back this year, all of us, kind of got super close over the year because we're kind of all going through the same thing, and we had a lot of time on our hands. So, Jalen Caldwell, Caden Beatty, those guys like that, super happy to see them every day because we went through a lot together emotionally and physically all through last year, and now we're all trending the right way. It's great.
Well, you want to know something? When we talked to a lot of those kids, and I know Jalen personally, I had a conversation with them, and when I heard he was coming back, we had a conversation. But you know what? The name that kept coming up was why one of the big reasons they were coming back.
Did he say
it was you? It was you, man. You'd been out there being a rush chairman. I mean, you were out there lobbying these guys, and the retention that we had, which is fantastic. I think you share large credit for some of that because I heard your name getting mentioned by a lot of other kids that decided to come back over and over and over. And they spoke of you very highly, and they were really flattered that you were working so hard to get them to come back. So on behalf of the entire Cougar Nation, thanks. We appreciate that.
Of course, I appreciate you guys. And one thing about that, too, is not only did I want, and once I knew I was coming back, not only did I want to build on a team that we had last year and keep some of those guys together, but at the same time, I've been through this whole transfer portal thing a few times and coaches leaving. And I know, when they ask me, KB, what do I say? I kind of tell them, man, it's okay to ask the hard questions. It's okay to, this is your career. This is your future. Ask them exactly what you want to know. So that way you can make your decision that much easier. And they've all been able to do that and thank me for it. And they're like, man, I got so much clarity and stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, man, you might as well. And, I love those guys. I love my teammates. I'm the first one to say good morning at 6 a.m. with a smile on my face, let's go and stuff like that. So I'm happy to see them. So
that's awesome. Well, let's talk about some of these new guys on the roster. Who have you been most impressed with so far? Just from, let's say, on the field. We'll do on the field first. Yeah.
I would say Linus, our big DN from Germany, came from Vanderbilt, I believe.
Yeah.
He's a freak athlete. Probably, he's as strong as he gets. He looks good, runs fast, stuff like that. And he's a
big kid too, right?
Huge kid. And he's stepped into a leadership role very quickly, which is always good to see when guys first come in. Tank Hawkins, super cool kid, super fast.
Did you think he was going to be a nerd with a name like Tank? I mean, I think anybody could have guessed he was going to be cool, right?
Yeah, no, the kid's awesome. So, but Tank, Daniel Blood, Linus, all three of those guys have came in and immediately established let's compete, let's go, and stuff like that. So it's been super fun.
Now, these poor kids had to move to Pullman, probably the worst time to move to Pullman in a January, February, where it's brown and cold over there. Are you having to sell them that the spring and summer is worth it?
Dude, it's been beautiful here.
Oh, that's right.
It has. They've had a winter. Yeah, haven't had a winter over there yet.
It was 57 degrees today.
Oh, and you're already getting some of that green wheat starting to grow over there too.
I'm already golfing.
You're already.
I'm already golfing. I got a tee time.
I like you even more now, Keith.
Yeah,
I really admire you. I really admire you.
Golf last week. I'm golfing on Saturday, but no, it's beautiful out here right now.
Okay, that's good to hear.
Do you keep a handicap?
Yeah, I mean it's low. It's low. I'm not gonna lie.
What is it?
I'm about a 6.5 right now.
Oh Jesus!
But not right now. Okay, right now I'm probably sitting around the 8 to 10 range. But
it's terrible.
Peak summer, the 6 range, 6 to 7 range in there.
That's good.
All right.
That was really good.
Well, any questions we didn't ask you feel like we should have asked about this offseason? Because it's been quite an adventure for everybody.
Yeah, I can say one thing. When it comes to what Coach Moore and Coach Hardman, who's the new strength coach, and kind of like what they've brought to the table is just like their attention to detail it feels on par with programs I've been at before when we're ranked top in the country throughout the whole season. Like the level of details and the standard of the work and discipline that goes into every single day has been, one, refreshing for me to kind of get back to that, and then two, just like it's the team's buying into it. Players are holding each other accountable and stuff like that. It's been great.
I heard Coach Hartman has been kicking everybody's ass. I heard that these have been some intense workouts you guys have been going through.
Let me tell you, Fridays are hell. Fridays suck. No, like Fridays are it's one every like strength program has like that day where it sucks, but
yeah,
it's one of those ones where you're waking up in the middle of the night, checking your phone, making sure you're not late, and then you're just like oh gosh, I got to go do this. You're trying to go to bed earlier, trying to drink more water because you just know what is going to happen.
These guys have been working them to death, and it's February. I love this.
And not even that, but like just even in the weight room, like we'll run from like the rack to the dumbbells. We'll run from the dumbbells back to the rack. Like everything is a high tempo, keep us moving the whole time. It's been great.
And you're saying you can kind of feel that it's at that elite level that you've experienced it, like in Oregon.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's right there, not maybe even better. It's been great.
Have you guys begun to really talk about and begin to conceptualize the amazing opportunity that you have in front of you now with this new conference, these new schools coming in, having a little bit more semblance of a normal schedule, having a great non-conference schedule where if WSU comes out and plays to their talent level, this could be one hell of a season, man.
Yeah, and that's what we talked about too, right? Like we have a real chance, and we've brought in enough pieces at this point to truly have a chance to not only win the Pac-12, but like dominate the new Pac-12. And there would be no cooler way than to start my career in the old Pac-12 and finish a champion in the new Pac-12. That'd be
love that goal. That's a great place to end it. Keith Brown, thank you so much for joining us today, man.
Go Cougs.
Yeah, for sure. Appreciate you guys. Go Cougs.
Go Cougs. Cool dude, right?
Leadership.
Yeah, you ever hung out with him before or talked to him before?
No, that's the first time.
It's
leadership.
Funny. Yeah.
Yeah, but here's the thing. We were talking about player retention.
Yeah.
How important is it to have players? Now, here's these stories. You got these young 19-year-old kids. They don't know what's going on. And there's this veteran presence in the locker room because he's been there. He's done that. But if we don't have player retention, we don't have those types of leaders sitting in the locker room to mentor the young kids to, good times, bad times, all of that. We need that. Every team needs that. Every team sport needs that. And that's where player retention is so huge. And then you keep a guy like him, and he starts making phone calls and dropping text messages. And next thing you know, you're keeping a whole bunch of players.
When he was talking about, I got really pumped about it when he was talking about, his injured buddies this year, right?
Right.
Those guys don't get a lot of write-up, right? We retained these players who were injured. And he just mentioned a lot of the reasons. Well, they didn't have a lot of flashy headlines last season because they weren't playing. But we've been so excited about some of the players who did play this year that we retained. We've been so excited about the players that we recruited this offseason. I haven't even sat down and thought about all the guys who were, injured this year who are going to be healthy as heck next year.
Bro, I'm telling you, man, we're going to be good.
That's fun to see. Before we've got a couple more things we want to talk about, but last week we talked a lot about the media business. We got into it a little bit on
the media business. You kind of went off on
I do it.
I wouldn't call it a rant.
No,
because you were emotionally regulated during all of it. So I would not call it a rant.
That's a win for me when I talk about that stuff. But
it was educational. I learned a lot.
News came out this past week,
which is
we got the new CEO at Disney.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and they immediately announced.
Yeah.
What do you think the linear sports was? They were down a certain percentage year over year last quarter. What do you think that percentage was?
Oh, I don't know. What would be a big nosedive in that industry? I don't understand. Down 10%, down 15%?
We're down 25% in operating revenue. That's their profit margins there. So they had a profit margin. And this sounds like a big number. They had a profit margin of $190 million for last quarter, which is the main football quarter, right? That sounds like a big number.
Right.
It's not when you consider what a lot of these athletic departments are putting on a budget. Look, WSU's athletic department budget was what, in the 80 million range. There was another piece of news this past week. Florida State. Did you see what happened there?
Yeah.
They have announced that they lost $495 million. That was their athletic
$500 million
deficit. So we talk a lot about
sustainability,
and then like rational investment, like
yes.
where we are we're on the other side of the spectrum, where we need to motivate both the school and the fan base to do more rational investment, right?
Yes.
But then you've got this stuff on the other side of where it's just like, that's insane. You're spending $495 million to try to compete for, and I know that they're not going after the specific ESPN pool, but when you look at that ESPN pool of 190 million,
right,
that's the profit margin, that's the capstone of this entire bubble. Like, what's the goal there? Right. And so, like, yeah, we've got schools doing that nonsense. Our problem is the exact opposite. We could go a little bit in the other direction, but it was a really interesting week to see a lot of those kind of numbers come to fruition. And I think we're going to see a lot more of that over the next couple months.
Well, and I do think that there is going to be a big sustainability problem for a lot of these conferences. I think that there's going to be a significant financial downfall for some of these schools that are doing unnecessary travel. I don't think any conference should have more than 2 time zones in it. And really, the conference that is, I think, on about as stable ground as anything right now is actually the way the current Pac-12 conference coming in is structured when you consider what we're obligated to, who's obligated to us, the teams we have, the amount of travel that would be associated with the conference. Bring a little Stanford and Cal back into it, and man, oh man.
I agree.
They would look good.
I agree. All right, well, we haven't heard from the general today, have we?
Yeah, and I want you to point this out. I do the edits on the general clip, and the general, the last couple have been a little lengthier than normal, and so when you have that background piano music going on,
is that you playing the piano?
No, it's not. I'm not that. Once again, I'm not witty with X, and I'm not musically inclined. But in case the music sounds a little weird, I had to cut up clips and keep extending the last clip, and I tried to do it on the correct measure. I do understand music theory, so you got to clip at the measure.
Look out, Goldfinger! There's a new DJ in town.
but we should hear from the good. And by the way, the good general today decided to go take a walk back, a little walk down memory lane for us. So this is a newer message, and I really like it. I hope you enjoy it too.
Cougar Nation. Before Martin Stadium shook, before Crimson meant defiance to the rest of the country, there were men who stood on this ground and decided that Washington State football would exist, and more than that it would endure. This program was built by coaches willing to believe in a place the rest of the country overlooked. From the earliest days, when the game itself was still finding its shape, our leaders were laying something deeper than schemes or records. They were laying identity. We remember the pioneers, the first men tasked with organizing chaos into competition. Coaches who didn't inherit tradition, but invented it. They coached before there was glory to chase, before there were bowls or banners, only the belief that Washington State deserved a seat at the table. Lone Star Dietz, our original eccentric, our original outsider, arrived in Pullman with fire in his eyes and a refusal to fit any mold. Long before being different became a badge of honor here, Dietz lived it. He demanded toughness. He demanded pride. And he took Washington State to the Rose Bowl, proving for the first time that the Cougars didn't need permission to belong on college football's biggest stage. That belief was carried forward by Babe Hollingberry, who didn't just coach teams, he stabilized a program. For nearly 2 decades, Hollingberry was Washington State football. Through eras of change and challenge, he made excellence sustainable and toughness habitual. He gave this program roots, and those roots still hold. Time passed. The sport evolved. The country changed. And like all programs built on grit, Washington State faced moments where belief thinned. That's when Jim Walden arrived. Walden didn't inherit momentum. He restored it. He brought edge back to Pullman. He made it clear that Washington State would not be a quiet stop on anyone's schedule. Under his watch, pride returned. Expectations returned. And Cougar football once again carried weight. Then came a stretch that redefined what Washington State football could be. Mike Price didn't just win, he sustained. He didn't just raise the ceiling, he lived there. 2 Rose Bowls in 5 years, seasons that commanded national respect, a program that no longer hoped to be noticed, but expected to be reckoned with. Price proved that excellence in Pullman wasn't fleeting. It could be repeated. Others added their chapters. Dennis Erickson's spark, Bill Doba's steadiness, each steward carrying the flame forward. And then came Mike Leach, proof that the Cougar spirit has always belonged to the unconventional. Leach reminded the country that innovation and stubborn belief thrive here. That Pullman is not a limitation, it is an advantage. That thinking differently isn't a phase at Washington State. It's tradition. My hope, my promise, is that years from now, when Cougar Nation tells this story again, they will speak of this era in the same breath. That they will say these coaches and these teams understood what came before them. That they honored Lone Star's defiance, Hollingberry's steadiness, Walden's revival, Price's peaks, and Leach's fearlessness. Not by copying them, but by adding something worthy to the line. That they will say we didn't borrow this legacy. We carried it. Until then, we work, we fight, we remember. Signed, General Kirby Moore.
Ah,
That was good.
that's a history lesson from the general there.
It is. And I would like to say that when they make the WSU movie, because it will be made at some point,
It will be.
Dennis Erickson absolutely has to be played by Walton
Walton
Goggins. Young Dennis Erickson, dude.
Exactly. Hey, couple of quick plugs. Remember, Pullman Vintage Market. Check out all their really, really cool stuff. Part of the proceeds will come back to the Cougar Collective. Old Crimson Store. I think it's at oldcrimson.com. Check it out. You can get just about everything there except for our fine Pilsner, which you can find at all Fred Meyer's.
Yep. And I just got word too. They're going to be selling that at the Cougs First show too.
Hell yeah, they are.
Yeah.
And
'cause they
that's
get
a
to
good
sell
segue.
alcohol this year.
That's a good segue because the Cougs First Business Network will have their Seattle show on May 29th at 505 First Avenue. Brian and I will be live casting from there. We'll have all sorts of awesome guests, but most importantly, we'll have Kelsey Knudsen on.
Yeah.
And if you got a business, get a booth, get some space down there at the Cougs First Business Network. You will make a ton of connections. It will be the best money you ever spend. So check them out at cougsfirst.com. Cougsfirst.com or cougsfirst.org. What is it?
Yes.
One of those.
Yeah. One of those.
One of
Just
those.
Google
Sorry,
it.
Kelsey.
Yeah. This is
Almost got you all the way
she
there.
didn't pay for advertising.
That's
yeah.
free
You know,
advertising.
yeah. But yeah, join Cougs First if you haven't already. And if you're watching this and not an 1890 Club member, I'm just going to ask what the hell's wrong with you.
What's up with that?
Yeah. So I think that's all we've got tonight. This
Those
was a
are
fun
good
show.
interviews.
Yeah.
Good interviews.
All right. Well, I'm here for Bill Kirk here.
Brian Hurley here.
All right.
What's the most important thing, though? Go Cougs.
Go Cougs. That's it.
That's it. Let's do it.
Let's cut this feed.